What protects civilian hospitals from military use in IHL? Imagine a place where the sick and wounded can find safety and care, even amid chaos. That's what international humanitarian law aims to protect: medical facilities that serve civilians during war. Civilian hospitals are protected under international humanitarian law, which is a set of rules designed to limit the effects of armed conflict. These protections come mainly from the Geneva Conventions of 1949 and their additional protocols. The Geneva Conventions are treaties that most countries have signed and agreed to follow. They say that hospitals caring for the sick and wounded must be respected and protected at all times. This means that parties involved in a conflict cannot attack or harm these hospitals or use them for military purposes. But this protection isn't unlimited. If a hospital is used outside its humanitarian role, it can lose protection. For example, if a hospital is used to store weapons, shelter combatants, or launch attacks, it can be targeted. However, before taking such action, the law requires that the attacking party give a warning. This warning must specify a reasonable time for the harmful activity to stop. If the hospital continues to be used for military purposes despite the warning, protection can be withdrawn. To make sure hospitals are recognized and respected, they must be clearly marked with symbols like the Red Cross, Red Crescent, or Red Crystal. These symbols are recognized by the Geneva Conventions and help military forces identify medical facilities easily. It's also important for hospitals to be located away from military targets whenever possible, reducing the risk of accidental attack. Medical personnel such as doctors, nurses, and support staff are also protected under international humanitarian law. They are allowed to perform their duties without interference or coercion. They cannot be forced to treat certain people or do tasks outside their medical role. This ensures that medical workers can focus on helping the wounded and sick without fear. In practical terms, parties to a conflict must do everything possible to avoid harming civilian hospitals. If a hospital is attacked or misused, those responsible can be held accountable for war crimes. Humanitarian organizations must also be allowed to provide medical care, especially when local resources are not enough. Denying access to these organizations is against international law. In summary, the protection of civilian hospitals under international humanitarian law relies on clear legal rules, visible markings, and strict conditions for losing protection. These rules are there to keep hospitals safe, so they can continue saving lives even in the hardest times of war.